Hi, welcome to Wax and Care. My name is Sean Levine. This is part 3 of our three-part segment in Who Killed the Electric Car. It's a great documentary by Chris Payne. It came out in 2006. And I'm going to talk about some of the things that I guess the people who are, anti-electric car are saying about, why we don't want to use the electric car. Okay, the electricity long tailpipe theory, you can actually go on Who Killed the Electric Car website and they'll explain it as well. But the idea behind there is that, well, yeah, fossil fuels produces all these smog stuff and global warming stuff, but if you use electricity, you're just meaning that a power plant, which makes electricity from fossil fuels, is producing pollution anyway, so your electricity is dirty as well. Okay, well, first of all, the government has done lots of studies on this and shown this to be completely false. You produce a lot less pollution when you use electricity than when you just put fossil fuels in a vehicle and burn those. And you don't even have to do a major study. I mean, you can obviously look on the internet and find the studies. But I mean, electricity in the United States is mixed production. It's not all coming from fossil fuels, right? So some is like hydro, nuclear, natural gas, wind, solar. So no matter what, you're not all of the electricity is being produced from burning fossil fuels. The other thing is too is when your power is coming from a power plant. There's a lot less power plants. It's easier to regulate pollution than it is to regulate pollution in each car. So, long tailpipe, bogus. Okay. Now, the other thing is they go, well, if everyone uses an electric car at night and stuff, it's going to drain the grid and you have to build more power plants and stuff like that. In the documentary, they said that based on the current power uses, 20 to 30 million cars could be charged overnight without adding additional power plants. That's a lot of cars. That would save a lot of pollution, 20 to 30 million. And then if you had to, if there are more cars, I don't know how many cars are on the roads or need to be charged every night, you could build renewable power plants like wind power plants or solar power plants, hopefully geothermal power plants or nuclear if you have to, and supply the energy for the cars as well that way. But this way would be a lot better than doing the pollution. Okay, so need tons more power plants, not really true, that kind of thing. So that should be dispelled too about this kind of stuff. Okay, now I want to talk about what happened, California, and the lessons learned. Capitalism is about making money, FYI. You probably already knew that. But it seems like from this documentary, it's about making money the fastest way you possibly can. And unfortunately, electric cars didn't fit the bill in California. It competed with some big, powerful groups like the oil and gas company. Don't want to see people switch from oil and gas to electricity because then their product is in less demand and probably worth less money. And the automotive companies didn't want to see this product because they already had a product line for cars that was making a lot more money because after it was sold, because there's so many more repairs to be done on a combustion engine with oil changes and air filters and oil filters and exhaust systems and catalytic converters and brake pads and all that stuff that an electric car just doesn't have or doesn't wear out very easily. So they didn't like those. So that's something to remember about capitalism, okay? Now, there's a really smart guy in there who talked about it. It was S. David Freeman, who was an energy advisor to Jimmy Carter's administration, and he said basically it took a law to get seatbelts and airbags and higher gas efficiency for cars, and it took a law to get electric vehicles on the road. So the moral lesson is it takes a law to use technology effectively if it's against the profit motives immediately for large companies that use that kind of technology. That's a good lesson to learn. The other person they talked to was Ralph Nader, because you can say, well, yeah, the law was passed in California, but unfortunately, it obviously wasn't enough because they got it watered down and the electric cars were taken back and crushed. Okay? They wouldn't allow anyone to buy these vehicles. That's how worried they were going to get out there. People offered them $1.9 million for 78 cars. General Motors didn't even respond, and they just took the cars and crushed them because to them it was more valuable to crush the example of an electric car being viable than it was to take the $1.9 million that people wanted to pay for the vehicles. Because you remember if you see the documentary, they take all the leased vehicles back because they leased them all out, and they destroy them, I guess to prevent the one good example. At least that seems to be the idea. Anyway, okay, I've gotten off track here. Ralph Nader basically says, well, okay, so it takes a law, right? But the law failed in California. he says that they gave them too much lead time. If you give car companies or big companies too much lead time before a law that really impacts their business takes effect, even though it's for the greater good of society, they will fight tooth and nail. They will spend money and PR companies and do grass movements and appeal to other higher levels of government to try and get this squashed, which they did and they succeeded in. So, I mean, Ralph Nader's lessons, get the law implemented quickly, get people on side quickly, and don't give them any time to fight this kind of stuff. Okay. Now, what we have to do, because this would be really nice to see these. I would love to see my next car be a fully electric vehicle. I should mention, too, about the hybrids. Hybrids suck! Hybrids suck! Hybrids suck! And no, they don't really suck, but okay. This is the car company's idea of the solution to the fuel efficiency thing. Hybrid cars are more fuel efficient. They do go farther. They do produce less pollution. I think that's a good start, but it's kind of twisting technology for a greater profit. Again, if this is my idea, my theory about this, is that instead of giving you the electric car, which has much less parts, like let's say a third to half the parts of a gasoline-powered car, because that affects the profit motive for like repairs, they decide we'll give you a gasoline car and we'll add electric components into it, so you got like 1/3 or half more parts than a regular gas-powered car, so more repairs than a gas-powered car. And that's their solution to the oil situation or the fuel price situation or whatever. And that's why I don't think hybrid cars are all that great. Most of us could easily get by with an electric vehicle, but instead, the only thing that's available to us is a hybrid vehicle. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overly suspicious. Okay, so moral of the story is think for yourself, find out your information, and let's try and get the government to pass a law to force car manufacturers to put zero-emission vehicles on the road, because it looks like, at least from experience-wise, that's the only way they're going to do it, especially if it affects their bottom line. Anyway, by all means, use this, watch the documentary, and do your own research on Google. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye.